Hakeem Jeffries is basically spewing out the same thing that the other radical leftist Democrats have been spewing out. And they're going after, guess who? ICE. Now, before I say this, let me put this out there too, because sometimes I forget to say this. Please, please hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up no matter how you're watching this. Hit the gold pill. Hit the thumbs up no matter how you're watching this. It really does make a difference on the algorithms, and I need your help to do this. Need your help. Now, if you like the information, you like the content that I've been sharing with you, please hit that thumbs up. You hitting that thumbs up will get more people to tune in. That's how it works. That's how it works. But it's entirely up to you, right? If you just want to save Will Johnson for yourself, then maybe I guess don't hit the thumbs up. But no, seriously, if you want to help me, if you truly want to help me, please hit the thumbs up. I've asked so many people throughout the years, hit that thumbs up, and especially on Rumble and YouTube. That's how it really works on Rumble, YouTube, and even on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, you hit that heart button. It really makes a difference, and even sharing it. And on peel.net, please hit that hit the red pill. Hit the red pill on peel.net. Okay. I wanted to let a few people get in here because I got some extremely, extremely important news that I want to share with you, which I think this is important to me personally. And the reason why I say that is because of what we're seeing happening, because of what the Democrats are doing. Now, there's a video that I shared with you, and I'm gonna bring it up here in just a second. There's a video that I shared with you yesterday, and I'm gonna play it again here in a minute. That the radical liberals on the left, they all want these ICE agents unmasked. Now, over on X, I'm sitting there looking at X, and I see the radical liberals on X, and they started getting this movement, I guess you would call it, right? This agenda, saying that they need to unmask these ICE agents. Now, there's only one reason why they want them unmasked. They want the ICE agents unmasked so they can find out who they are. They can find out who their family. They can find out about their family. They can find out where they live. They can find out about their children. And apparently, what these radical Democrats have been doing, once they find out who the ICE agent is, they've been harassing not just the ICE agent himself, but they've been going after their children. They've been finding their children on Instagram, finding out what school they're going to. There's a name for that, and it's called doxing. The radical liberals are wanting to dox ICE agents. And on X, of all places, on X, and I think this has only been happening on X. It may have been happening on other platforms, but I've only seen it on X, where these radical leftist lunatic liberals are actually saying that these ICE agents are Proud Boy members. Really? They're actually saying this. They're saying ICE agents, they are Proud Boy members. I'm like, why would they say that? And I got to thinking about with them saying that. Basically, they're saying that just anybody that supports President Trump can go put on full tactical gear and just start arresting people, getting them off the streets of America and taking them to an ICE detention facility. Well, if that's the case, then what's stopping radical liberals perpetrating ICE agents and then go picking up MAGA Republicans and taking them to an ICE facility? You understand my point? Because they're saying, even before now, a couple of weeks ago, they were saying that President Trump, he was just picking up random people off the streets of America, even American citizens. They're constantly saying that President Trump is deporting American citizens when they're babies, which is a bunch of BS, because what's happening is that when President Trump's team is picking up these criminals that are here in the United States of America and deporting them, and they have children here because they came here and they had children, just like Tom Homan said, don't separate the families, keep the families together. And if the parents getting deported don't want to leave their kids here in America, guess what? The kid's going to go with them. Put it this way, if I went to another country and the country is going to deport me out of their country and I have kids in that country, I'm taking my children with me. And that's what's happening. The Democrats leave out that key detail saying that President Trump is deporting American citizens. And there's a sinister reason why they're doing this too. Because if they ever, and I do mean ever, if the Democrats ever get back into position where they are controlling the White House, controlling the Senate, and controlling the House of Representatives, they are going to actually pick up American citizens because they're saying that President Trump is doing it now, which is a total lie. They're going to take that and say, well, when President Trump was deporting American citizens, you didn't say anything. You didn't have any problems with it. I'm telling you right now, this is exactly what they're going to be saying. Prove me wrong. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat if you think I'm wrong. So you can just say, Will Johnson, you're wrong. They're not going to deport American citizens. President Trump is not doing that now, but the Democrats are saying that he is. My point is, as soon as they get in that position, the Second Amendment, I'm telling you, right, the next time they ever, and they're really trying to make it happen, they're going to get rid of the Second Amendment. I'm telling you right now, they're going to do away with so many things in the Constitution. These judges, these rogue judges that they have right now that's trying to fight against President Trump being the executive branch of the federal government, making decisions on the national level. You have these rogue federal judges deciding to intervene and say that they have more power and more authority over President Trump when we, the people, voted for President Trump to do what he's doing right now. We, the people, voted for this. Actually, on my website, Shannon, if you can put that up there, on my website, uniteamericafirst.com, I have a new t-shirt on there. I have this new t-shirt on there. You can go ahead and bring it over while you go into it. There's a new t-shirt on my website, uniteamericafirst.com. You go there and you click on the merch, right? And it says, I voted for this. Look at that. Beautiful t-shirt. Right there, beautiful t-shirt. I voted for this. And everyone knows exactly what this is. I voted for what President Trump is doing. I voted for this. So if you like the t-shirt, you want to help me out, go to uniteamericafirst.com and get one of these beautiful t-shirts. I had to order one myself. I've asked my producer to order mine. We'll see if she orders one for me. You going to order one for me, Shannon?
Sure.
UniteAmericaFirst.com, everyone. Okay, let me share this video with you. This is the video that came out yesterday or the day before, actually the day before yesterday, where they were having a press conference and they were talking about the ICE agents and the ICE agents having their face covered. Well, this guy comes out there and he explains why the ICE agents have their faces covered. And of course, you have a radical liberal in the midst here saying, well, it's not about it's about verifying who they are. Why in the world does a person in the press need to verify who the ICE agent is themselves? They're trying to say that these are just random people. And like I mentioned a second ago, some of the radical lunatic liberals are even saying that these are Proud Board members that are just rounding people up. What a bunch of BS. Let me play this for you. Just a recap for those of you that did not hear this. Listen.
Their faces and posting them online with death threats to their family and themselves. So I'm sorry if people are offended by them wearing masks, but I'm not going to let my officers and agents go out there and put their lives on the line and their family on the line because people don't like what immigration enforcement is. They are wearing those masks because we ran an operation with the Secret Service where we arrested someone that was going online, taking their photos, posting their families, their kids' Instagram, their kids' Facebooks, and targeting them. So let me ask, is that the issue here, that we're just upset about the masks? Or is anyone upset with the fact that ICE officers' families were labeled terrorists?
It's about the identity.
No, let me stop it really quick. No, bring it back. I want y'all to listen to this, right? Because he's saying they were going on Facebook, finding their children, going on Instagram, finding their children, going on social media, finding their children. And I want y'all to listen to the radical, lunatic liberal in the press that's going to ask the question. It's about their identity. You don't need to know their identity. I don't need to know their identity. Now, if they are impersonating an ICE agent and they randomly picking up people and they take them to the ICE detention facility and they say, "Yep, we got another one for you," do you not think that they're going to try to ask questions at that point? Because they have to say, "Why did you pick this person up?" There has to be there's a paper trail. It's not like the Biden administration where they were just letting millions upon millions of people in the country without a paper trail. There's a paper trail of these people getting deported. How do we know that they come back into the country without a paper trail? Now listen to this last part, and you can leave it split screen. Listen to this last part, just a couple seconds. Radical, leftist, lunatic, liberal. Listen.
The fact that ICE officers' families were labeled terrorists.
It's about the identification, sir, because some of these agents don't have labels that say who they're with.
You hear that? So if you're impersonating an ICE agent, like I was saying a second ago, and you decide to go pick up a MAGA Republican and take him to a detention facility, I encourage you to go do it right now. I encourage you to go do it. Because you're saying that some of these people are just random people off the streets that's picking up American citizens and take them to the deportation center. That's what the liberals left is saying. That's exactly what they're saying here. That's exactly what they're alluding to. But it's not the case. It's not the case at all. Have you ever, so let me put it this way. When I was younger, I used to hang out in the hood. Didn't have to, but I knew people that lived in the hood. And, to me, they were cool people. I hung out in the hood. And I'll never forget it. One day, we were hanging out in the hood, and I wasn't even up to no trouble. Wasn't even doing anything bad. We were just sitting there on a corner. And it was this popular corner in this particular hood that I was hanging out. And one day, we were just all hanging out there, myself and my other buddies. It was about 4 of us, but there was a whole bunch of other guys out there this one particular day in the hood. And there's probably maybe 20, 30 other people, and they're all black. All black. We're all out there. We're just all hanging out. Next thing I know, we're just sitting there. And again, I'm not doing anything wrong. Next thing I know, unmarked vehicles, like 5 of them, maybe even 6 or maybe even more, unmarked vehicles all rushed up from every which way. There was 2 ways. Actually, it was more than that. But they rushed up every which way you can think of. Because there was a street going this way and there was a street going this way. Vehicles came from this way together and vehicles came from this way together. Right there in front of us where we were on this corner, unmarked vehicles. Police officers got out the vehicle and started chasing people. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what in the world is going on? It's like watching a movie. Or like watching one of those Law and Order shows where the cops come out there, or SWAT or something. And all the cops came out and they start running around. And I see a whole bunch of black dudes start running around, scrambling around, just running. And I'm just standing there watching the show. And what I noticed is that a lot of these police officers didn't have on any markings on their uniforms. Nothing. They all rode up in these unmarked vehicles, but they had the vehicles on the inside. As soon as they stopped, the lights came on. And they got out. My point is that a lot of these police officers didn't have any markings saying that they were police officers. And one of the police officers walked up to me because, he's checking me, he said, because I'm like this. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like this. And they come up there and he's checking my pockets. And the police officer says, "Why didn't you run?" And I said, "Because I ain't doing nothing wrong. Why do I need to? Do I need to run? Are you telling me I need to run?" I said, "I'm not doing anything wrong." And he checked my pockets and, he patted me down. I'm like this. I ain't doing anything wrong. But some of the guys that were out there, they were up to no good. Some of them were up to no good. My point in this story is that some of the police officers did not have any special markings to say that they were police officers. They could have been feds, all I know. They could have been ATF for all I know. They didn't have any markings. They had on the vest, solid black vest. They had on jeans, black shirts. And some of them were white and some of them were black. Talking about the police officers. It was obvious that they were police officers because they were arresting people and they putting them in handcuffs, the ones that they could catch. But I wasn't doing anything. I didn't have no need to run. But now you have ICE agents doing what we voted for President Trump to do: uphold the law. This is the reason why I voted for President Trump. I voted for President Trump because I was tired of the lawlessness that was happening from the Biden administration and the Democrats. The past 4 years, it has been total lawlessness that we've been seeing, that we've been experiencing. You know how many times the border was in the news? You know how many times we talked about the border? You know how many times the people were going down to the border showing all of this footage of people just coming across the country, and the federal government did nothing. ICE agents were told to stand down during that time so they could not do their jobs. So now what's having to happen is President Trump's administration with Tom Homan is going around and getting and rounding up these criminals, hardcore criminals, mind you, that Joe Biden's administration let into the country and that the Democrats all of a sudden are fighting for. The Democrats are actually fighting for these criminals. Can you imagine what America would look like if the Democrats put as much effort into their constituents as they do these hardcore criminals? I mean, just imagine that for a second. Just imagine. If they would spend a day even trying to figure out how to stop, if they would just stop trying to undermine President Trump for a day and start doing the will of the American people, this country would look different overnight. But they can't do that. They can't bring themselves to do it. They know what President Trump is doing is correct. They know what President Trump is doing is for the American people. But the Democrats are fighting against President Trump because he's doing these things for the American people. And it's against the hardcore Trade de Agua, MS-13. You've heard about them for the past 4 months. Even before then, but especially now. Within 200 days, President Trump has actually cracked down on a lot of it, and the Democrats are coming out, even going to other countries, fighting for these criminals to remain in the United States of America. And personally, I think the only reason why they want him here in the United States of America is because they, in my opinion, they are called what I call sleeper cells. The Democrats want as many of them here as possible, so when they say go, it'd be total chaos in the country. Listen to Hakeem Jeffries. You have Hakeem Jeffries even calling for these ICE agents to be unmasked. Are you kidding me? He is the minority leader in the House of Representatives. And he's actually saying that these ICE agents that are upholding the law, doing what they're supposed to be doing, not breaking the law, doing what we, the people, voted for President Trump to have them do, he is saying that they should be unmasked. And there's only one reason why he wants these ICE agents to be unmasked, because he wants to dox them. He wants to put a target on their backs. He wants their families to be threatened. He wants their children to be in harm's way. And because if their family and their children are in harm's way, then the ICE agents will back down. The ICE agents will stop doing their jobs. That's the only reason why Hakeem Jeffries is wanting to demask these ICE agents. He's not doing it for what? He even goes and says that they need to be held accountable. How dare you uphold the law? This is what he's saying. How dare these ICE agents uphold the law, follow the law? They need to be held accountable for doing so. People, do you see what's happening in our world today? This is interesting. This is truly interesting. What was once considered good is now considered evil. And what was once considered evil is now considered good. This is the world that we live in right now. The very fact that he's saying that these agents need to be identified because they're doing their jobs, because they're upholding the law, says a lot. The Democrat Party has never changed. The Democrat Party is evil to the core.
Every single ICE agent who's engaged in this aggressive overreach and are trying to hide their identities from the American people will be unsuccessful in doing that. This is America. This is not the Soviet Union. We're not behind the Iron Curtain. This is not the 1930s. And every single one of them no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, will of course be identified. That in fact is the law.
Hold on. Is it the law that these ICE agents have to be identified? Is it the law that he should be able to come out here and say we should dox them? Again, the only reason why he is doing this is because he wants these people, family, to be put in harm's way.
This is absurd. This is absurd that he actually takes to the podium and lies by saying that it's the law. There's no law that says that the people in Congress have to know the names of all the people and their families that work for ICE. There's no such thing. And to be honest with you, what really upsets me is he's actually giving permission to these people that are walking up to ICE and threatening them and wanting to dox them. He's literally telling these people, you have every right to know who these people are. He's telling these people that.
Yeah.
And so they feel empowered because, hey, Hakeem Jeffries, the idiot in the House, said I could do it. This is dangerous. This
It
is
really
so
is.
dangerous,
It
but
really
he
is.
doesn't care. And you know what? He would not admit to it. He wouldn't say, that's what I'm doing.
No.
Tell me what law, Will, allows them to dox ICE members? This is I've never even heard of such a thing. I've never even heard of a congressperson come out and say, we need to know who these people are that are doing their jobs and doing them correctly.
Why is he not saying we need to know who these MS-13 members are? Why is he not saying that we need to know who Trade Agua members are? Why is he not saying that these people that are committing crimes that are not American citizens, we need to know who they are? Why is he not saying that all of the thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of terrorists that Joe Biden and the Democrats brought into the country, who they are? Why is he not concerned about them? He's more concerned about ICE agents and who they are because they're upholding the law. Are you kidding me? What? This is the reason why I call these people Democrats. This doesn't make a lick of sense for someone to be this stupid. It doesn't. Hakeem Jeffries on here saying we need to know who they are. It is the law that we know who they are because we need to tell the people who they are. And again, they want to do this so they can weaponize something against these agents to get these agents to stop doing their jobs. So then they can turn around and say, oh, President Trump made a promise to the American people and he's not keeping it. But President Trump is keeping it. I voted for this. This is what they want. Listen to him.
No matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, will of course be identified. That in fact is the law. And we're going to make sure that the American people have the transparency necessary to hold people accountable when they're folks who cross the line.
When have they crossed the line? You know, these radical leftist lunatics, especially over on X, because this is where I saw it at. Over on X, when they were showing the ICE agents arresting these people that were here, not American citizens, broke the law, and getting arrested, you know what the radical leftist lunatics are saying about them? You know what they're saying? Oh, they're being kidnapped. They're being kidnapped. And I'm sitting there looking at this video of them arresting these people that are here unlawfully, breaking the law. They've actually broken the law, and they're still currently breaking the law. I'm sitting there looking at this video, and I asked a question on there. I said, when does the kidnapping part show up? Because I'm sitting there looking at the same video that you're looking at. Where's the kidnapping? And of course, these liberals, they go, are you crazy? Are you insane? Are you not seeing the video? I'm like, I am watching the video. I'm asking you because clearly these are ICE agents and they're detaining people that have broken the law. So can you show me where the kidnapping is taking place? See, this is what they're saying. This is how these radical leftist lunatics think. And the only reason why I refer to them that way because our great President Trump refers to them that way. Because have y'all seen the mental report about him? I'm gonna get to that here in a minute, okay? But I want y'all to listen to the rest of what Hakeem's saying. He's wanting to hold them responsible for doing their jobs. You hear me? That's what he's saying. He's saying we need to hold them responsible because they're upholding the law, because they're doing what we the people wanted President Trump to do in this country. Are you not seeing this, or is it just me? Is it just me? It can't be. It can't be. Listen to him.
To hold people accountable when they're folks who cross the line.
Oh my goodness.
Here in America. That's what's going to happen. And as I mentioned earlier, when I spoke to Congressman Nadler about this, our first priorities are always going to be making sure the person who was on the front line is in the best possible place to move forward. That's the case with LaMonica MacGyver, and it is also the case with Congressman Nadler's brave, young, patriotic staffer.
Oh, brave, young, patriotic staffer. You hear this?
Gosh.
The staffer that was getting in the way, interfering with the ICE agents doing their jobs. That person needs to go to jail, just like the judge needs to go to jail for trying to help an illegal alien evade ICE custody. These people, they are not here to help Americans. They're here to help these illegals. Hakeem Jeffries being one of the biggest radicals out there.
I can't even tell you how this makes my blood boil, because when he's talking about these people crossing the line, he should be talking about these people crossing the border illegally. That's what he should be talking about.
Really?
He should be saying, let's identify who these people are here in America illegally. That's what he should be saying. But they're doing just the opposite, Will. And instead of, it kind of reminds me of the scripture where it says when the things that were once good will be considered evil, and the things that are once considered evil are now good. This is exactly a prime example of that.
Yeah.
You have people breaking the law, and you know what? Time after time, you have Homan coming out and saying who these people are. I'm talking about these are not nice people. We're talking about rapists. We're talking about murderers. We're talking about people that beat up other people. We're talking about sex trafficking. We're talking about drug pushers. Like, these are the people that they're removing, and they go, oh, we have to protect those
Yeah.
people. They're
Yeah.
so innocent because you went after them. Just like the family of the Egyptian man in Boulder, Colorado. They're so upset that Trump is deporting his family. Are you kidding me? Do you not think that this man was grooming his children to have hate for America and hate for Israel like he did? Do you not think that that's a
Of course
fact?
he did.
Come on,
Of
give me
course
a
he
break.
did.
Trump knows it, because
Yeah.
you know what? Republicans have common sense. This is not common sense.
Yeah, it's not. And the very fact, again, that they're using this to try to rally people up to go against the law agents is ridiculous. Listen.
Best possible place to move forward. That's the case with LaMonica MacGyver, and it is also the case with Congressman Nadler's brave, young, patriotic staffer. And we've got to address those issues first. That's the human thing to do, while simultaneously, of course, preparing to deal with the broader policy implications, which, as I mentioned, are underway. Thanks. Go back to the side.
Are you kidding me? He said it's the human thing to do. It's the human thing to do. Well, the human thing to do is to follow the law. The human thing to do is to keep law and order. There's a reason why order comes into play with that. The Democrats don't want any order. Did they have order at the border? Absolutely not. There was no order at the border. The Democrats don't like order. They don't like it at all. But you know what we like? We like 1775coffee.com/studio. You need to check this out. You stopped what? Your audio, no audio for you.
You need to go check out 1775 Coffee. Right now, they're giving away a package for free when you buy the coffee. You get a frother, you get a spoon, you get a tumbler, you get all of these things when you order the coffee. It's all worth $170 worth of items. And you know what? If you haven't tried the 1775 coffee, but you're seeing it blow up all over Rumble right now, you need to go check it out. You need to try it. Take advantage of this this wonderful incentive to buy the coffee and try the coffee. It's a mushroom coffee, no toxins. It's healthier for you. And not only that, though, they support this platform, Rumble, that you're on right now, that actually does support free speech, unlike the other social media platforms. So go to 1775coffee.com/studio and get 10% off right now.
Go check it out. 1775coffee.com. Go check it out. Do you like coffee? You know, I'm not really a huge coffee drinker. There's some coffee that I really do like, and I typically drink coffee when I'm traveling, but unless of course I go to church. If I go to church, I like coffee at church.
He does like coffee at church.
I like coffee at church. Okay, let me tell you about this as well. Now, I don't want to play that yet. If you would, please. I want to tell people about the blessings that people have helped me with my AC here. I want to talk about that really quick. And I bring it up, and I don't like the fact that I have to talk about this or that I have to ask. One person told me, said, "Will, you need to swallow your pride. If you need help, ask for help." And I said, you know what? And you know what? I said, you're right, but I need help, and I have to swallow it, and I have to ask God's people to help me. And so my producer, she created a thing because I'm in the state of Texas, and the state of Texas gets really hot. I mean, people driving through Texas complain how hot it is. People that live in Texas complain how hot it is. People flying over Texas, going from one state to another state, complain how hot it is. I mean, it's hot in Texas. I don't know what the deal is. Now, I've been in Arizona, and Arizona is hot too, but Arizona is like a dry heat, but Texas is hot and humid and everything else. I was driving down the street the other day, and I boom, 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 and I went, what is that? And I looked at my rearview mirror, and the devil was behind me chasing me because he was mad I ran him over. It's hot like that here. It's hot. So my AC, and look, I'm not a plumber or anything like that. I don't know what they call them, Hadvac. I don't even know what they call them. The guy that look at your AC.
They rip off you. The rip off artist. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, it's a profession.
It's
that
a
they
profession,
do.
and we need
you know
AC.
what? When you're especially in Texas, I guess if I live in Alaska and I need the AC, they'd be like, okay, it'd be $20 because I can just open up the windows. But there's heat, right? But nonetheless, my producer created this givesandgo.com/fix my AC because my AC went out here is a compressor. And the compressor, for all of you that's ever had to deal with anything like this, you know that they're really expensive. So I've been asking people, if you find it in your heart, help me with my AC unit here in Texas. It's really hot here in Texas. And I really wouldn't be asking, to be honest with you, if Facebook hadn't done what they've done to me, the social media platforms. So I'm truly listener supported, viewer supported. I'm supported by you 100%. Without you, I can't do any of this. And it's a struggle because, even though I'm doing this, I'm live on Facebook, I'm live on peel.net, I'm live on Rumble, I'm live on Instagram. YouTube, I'm live on Instagram. We're live on X America News. I'm live on many platforms. And there's a few of these platforms that I'm live on that, the videos get viewed by quite a few people. But the other ones that are directly tied to me, like Facebook and YouTube, they've been preventing a lot of people from seeing my videos because they say, well, this is Will Johnson. It's the same Will Johnson telling the truth again and not hating on a certain group of people. So they try to block me as much as possible. So I am truly viewer supported. And this is why I'm telling y'all, hit that thumbs up too. So if God puts it on your heart and you like any of the content, you want to help me out, anything helps. Anything is a blessing. I'm straight up about that. Someone sent me a blessing. Put it back up. And I just want to show y'all that we're almost halfway there. If you can bring it back up really quick, Shannon, we're almost halfway there at least. We're almost halfway there. So if you can help me, please bless me by going to givesandgo.com/fix my AC. I would greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. Okay. Now, I'm going to get back to some of this other news. The Democrats. Did you know the court system, they've used the court systems as another way to use to to utilize their warfare against President Trump and the American people. This is what this is about. So here it is, So here it is. You have President Trump doing his job at the executive level because we, the people, voted for President Trump to do what he's doing. So what do the radical liberals do? The leftists, the radical leftist lunatics, what do? They run to the court system. And basically, they're saying that the court system supersedes anything that President Trump does. So President Trump, he can't do anything unless the court says he can. What kind of country do we live in? Personally, all of these judges that participated in this, what I call tyranny, they should be removed from the bench. They should not be able to sit there. If President Trump puts an order out there to defend and protect the United States of America, and then a radical leftist lunatic judge comes up and says, nope, you can't do that. You have to allow these Tren de Agua and MS-13 members to run the streets of America because you cannot deport them. That judge, minimum, should lose his or her seat on the bench. And I don't care because a lot of times they go and say, well, some of these are Trump appointees. Bill Barr, he was a Trump appointee. Jeff Sessions, he was a Trump appointee. A lot of people are upset with Pam Bondi right now. She's a Trump appointee. Just because Trump put him there doesn't mean they got bought out. A lot of these people sell themselves out. And we see it all the time. But listen to this. Listen to the Communist News Network, and they're talking about the warfare, the lawfare against President Trump.
The courts have halted Trump's admin agenda a huge number of times. What are we talking about? We're talking about at least 181 times that they have at least temporarily, halted Trump's agenda. That is a huge number. To give you that in percentage terms, in over 50% of the cases that are presented to courts, the Trump administration agenda has been halted at least temporarily. So Donald Trump, tries to do these actions with his administration, but the courts have been saying, hold on, wait a minute here. Then they have said that at least 181 times so far in just the first few months of this administration.
181 times. No, stop Trump, stop Trump, stop Trump. That's all that they can think about. Stop Trump. 181 times? This is truly unheard of. Well, there was a hearing that was going on yesterday, and I didn't even know this hearing was going on because I would have most definitely been trying to share a lot of it with you. But for those of you that did not see any of this, I have some of it that I want to share with you. Now, it's long. We don't have enough time to go through all of it, but I want to show you what I can of some of this hearing. One of them, where Ted Cruz was going back and forth with Spartacus, and it's good. But listen to Ted Cruz as he's opening up this committee.
Good afternoon. I hereby call to order this hearing on the supposedly least dangerous branch, district judges versus Donald J. Trump. This hearing is a joint undertaking by the Subcommittee on the Constitution and the Subcommittee on Federal Courts because our country is facing a constitutional crisis, a full-blown judicial assault on the separation of powers that strikes at the very foundation of the republic. What we're witnessing is the rise of judicial lawfare from the bench. One unelected district judge sitting in a courtroom in San Francisco or Boston or Baltimore can now issue a nationwide injunction that ties the hands of the President of the United States for all 330 million Americans. That's not law, that's judicial tyranny. President Donald Trump was elected by over 77 million Americans with a constitutional mandate to govern. These district judges, they were not elected. They were appointed by one individual and confirmed not to legislate, not to govern, but to apply the law. And yet, far too many of them have abandoned that role. They've stepped off the bench and into the political arena, issuing sweeping edicts that impose their policy preferences on 340 million Americans. Let's walk through just a few of the most egregious recent examples. Economic policy. In New York City, the Court of International Trade struck down all of President Trump's tariffs under IEEPA, declaring that they exceeded executive authority. It was not judging, it was judges replacing the president's judgment on declaring a national emergency. And of course, that ruling was almost immediately stayed by the Court of Appeals. Deportation policy. In Baltimore, the chief judge for the District Court of Maryland issued an order preventing the removal of illegal aliens detained anywhere in the country, granting 2 days of automatic protection to anyone who files a habeas petition in Maryland, all without a hearing or legal findings. This single Maryland judge dictated national deportation policy and then tried to claw back the damage by amending the order. As chairman of the Subcommittee on Federal Courts, I'm investigating this overreach, and I've sent a letter to the Judicial Conference of the United States. But the judges did not stop there. In D.C., a judge blocked the federal government from requiring proof of citizenship to vote, overriding election integrity laws across all 50 states. In Boston, a judge weighed in on birthright citizenship, deciding a question of nationwide consequence for millions of illegal aliens, despite the plaintiffs being solely one pregnant mother and 2 nonprofit organizations.
You see this? And it has about maybe 5 more minutes of this. It just proves what I was saying, that the Democrats using these judges to say, President Trump, you don't have authority to make decisions for the nation. When the nation voted for President Trump not only did he win the Electoral College, but he won the popular vote. More people in this country wanted President Trump and would want President Trump to do what he's doing. I voted for this. And the Democrats, they're trying to do everything they can. These rogue judges, and this is what they're having this hearing about. These rogue judges taking it upon themselves to say, we know what's best for the country. The people don't know. This is what these leftist, radical leftist, lunatic liberals are saying, that we don't know what we voted for. You know, this is what they're saying. We don't know. Oh, you don't know. You don't understand what you just did. Oh, yes, we do. And actually, we want President Trump to do twice as much as what's happening right now. I just wish Pam Bondi would kind of like get the ball rolling, do something. And I know there's a lot of people out there right now that's like, my goodness, what's Pam Bondi doing? She go on Fox News. I'm still like, man, I'm still trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. Because 200 days to get here, President Trump's administration. When is 200 days? 200 days of President Trump administration here, and they haven't gotten any of these corrupt criminals. And you know who they are. We know who they are. They know who they are. After 200 days, I mean, they say that they're looking at and they're building cases. I mean, my goodness. Are they going to get all of them at once? What about the low-hanging fruit? Listen to Senator Kennedy. Senator Kennedy, he chimes in on this too, because everyone is sick and tired of these judges thinking that they supersede the executive branch, and they don't.
Do any of you think that nationwide or universal injunctions are not being abused?
I'm not sure what if I may, Senator, I'm not sure what the time horizon of the question is. I don't think that there could be good faith disagreements about the correctness of some of them, but I have not seen in the last 4 months abuse. No.
I've read your stuff and I've read your writings. I don't want to get bogged down with this, but I have little respect for your opinion because I've read your stuff. When someone is in the White House that you agree with and someone gets a universal injunction against him, you don't like universal injunctions. You called them judges acting like they're politicians in robes and judges looking like crass political actors. But now that President Trump's in the White House, who you dislike, you think that universal injunctions taste like pumpkin pie. So I have to discount what you say because I think you act on your political beliefs. And I worry that that's what you're teaching your kids.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. They're teaching children in school how to be radical, go against America, go against Trump.
Yeah, she's a UPenn professor. So she's a law professor.
Well, yeah, but
So
that's the point.
they're teaching judges to be activist judges for the Democrat Party. That is
Mhm.
what she's teaching.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at her comments, just like Holly brought up some of her comments, Kennedy brought up some of her comments. These are activists trying to recruit other activists. And we know that they're doing it right out in the open.
Yeah. And they show up to this hearing to try to justify them being activists, the judges. Well, here's one with Senator Holly. And of course, they're trying to push back.
And let's see the chart, the Trump chart, which was done really only once Trump came into office for the first time. You don't think this is a little bit anomalous? You don't think that's a little bit strange?
A very plausible explanation, Senator, you have to consider is that he is engaged in much more lawless activity than other presidents, right?
You don't think...
Are you hearing this? She's saying the reason why these judges and these injunctions been against President Trump is because President Trump has been more lawless, right? He's broken the law more than Obama, more than Biden. Really? Listen to Senator Holly.
This was never used before the 1960s, and suddenly Democrat judges decide we love the nationwide injunction. And then when Biden comes to office, no, actually.
It's Republican appointees as well, Senator. And the 1960s is where some scholars sort of locate the beginning of this.
Can you identify one before then?
Mila Sahoni, who's another scholar of universal injunction, suggests 1913 is actually the first. There were others in the 20s.
The Republic endured for 150 years before the nationwide injunction.
Well, the federal government was doing a lot less until 100 years ago. So there's many things that have changed in the last 100 or the last 50 years.
So long as it is a Democrat president in office, then we should have no nationwide injunctions. If it's a Republican president, then this is absolutely fine, warranted, and called for. How can our system of law survive on those principles, Professor?
I think a system in which there are no meaningful constraints on the president is a very dangerous system.
That's not what you thought when Joe Biden. That is not what you thought when Joe Biden was
president. Every president
you said that is not what you said.
You
said it was a travesty for the principles of democracy, notions of judicial impartiality, and the rule of law. You also said
the Supreme Court senator agreed.
Wait a minute.
I know with me on that.
You also said when Joe Biden was president, you said the idea that anyone would foreign shop to get a judge who would issue a nationwide injunction was just judges looking like politicians in robes. Again, it threatened the underlying legal system. People just trying to get the result they wanted. It was a travesty for the rule of law. But you're fine with all of that if it's getting the result that you want.
Yeah. They're fine with it as long as they get the results that they want. And you know what it makes me think about as well? The Constitution. The radical left, they're okay with the Constitution if it gives them the result that they're looking for. Other than that, they disregard the U.S. Constitution. They could care less about the U.S. Constitution. They're the ones that's demonstrating this all the time. They're the ones that are demonstrating it. I have another one I want to share with you with Senator Holly. And I think this one's maybe just a little bit shorter, but listen to this with Senator Holly. He's nailing it.
The principle that divides when issuing a nationwide injunction is okay, when it's not. When the Biden administration was subject to nationwide injunctions, you said that they were travesties for the principle of democracy. You didn't say the referral to Judge Kaczmarek was a travesty. You said his injunction was a travesty for principles of democracy. Yeah. So, in other words, the translation is just you didn't like the outcome. Is that right?
No, Senator. Look, we're talking about, I don't think Article 3 precludes this form of relief. So we are talking about prudential consideration.
Prudential meaning political?
No.
Then give me, so far I have yet to hear it. You've been questioned by multiple senators. I have yet to hear a principle other than the fact when you like the ruling, you think it's great to apply it nationally, including non-parties. When you don't like the ruling, it is a travesty for the principles of democracy, notions of judicial impartiality, and the rule of law.
Look, Senator, I'll say I think I am self-aware enough to know that my view of the underlying legal question, I am sure, colors my perception of the remedy.
Okay.
I think that we should all acknowledge that. And yet I do think
And
that
why shouldn't we stop nationwide injunctions for everybody?
I think there
That's
is
what we're talking about today.
because I'm not willing to leave without relief non-parties who
No,
are
you're not
injured.
willing to leave without the ability to bind President Trump.
No, I
right?
think that.
I mean, when it's Biden, it's okay. When it's Biden, oh, it's a travesty. When it's Trump in office, it's no holds barred, whatever it takes, right?
I
It's
believe
just
in
like
a
that
powerful.
book what was it that President Biden's staff said? We've got to do undemocratic, unconstitutional things to save democracy. Why is this the same
I believe
thing?
in a powerful president. I do believe in presidential power, but power and constraint are not at fundamental odds.
What
Constraint
is the
legitimates
principle?
power.
What is the principle? The legal principle. You've referenced prudence. You've referenced the judges you don't like. What's the principle of when an injunction binding non-parties, which was never done in this country before the 1960s?
You know what this is part of? This is like part of the shadow government. You remember when they were talking about the shadow government and they said this is when President Trump won the election in 2024. And you had radical Democrats go onto the House floor even and say that they're creating a shadow government. I don't know how the Republicans didn't say this is unconstitutional. If you proceed with this, you're gonna regret it. None of the Republicans said that, but nonetheless, the Democrats have created a shadow government. And part of the shadow government is to get DAs across the country, to get judges, lawyers, even police officers, all to join in to this shadow government. And basically, every time President Trump's administration, he's doing something, then they'll have a representative in their shadow government to shadow what President Trump's administration is doing, and then to go find a judge to try to stop President Trump from doing it, trying to prevent it from happening. You know, kind of like they tried to do with USAID, and come to find out USAID was shoveling out money, taxpayer dollars that had nothing to do with the benefit of the American people, safety, security, none of that. Even the guy that was in Colorado with the Molotov cocktail, apparently when they went to his home, they found documentation associated with USAID. But none of the radical liberals are talking about that either. They only want to advocate and fight for people that is doing wrongdoings. Do you still think that we're not in a spiritual battle? And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people don't want to ever look at it that way. You actually have the Democrats advocating and fighting for everything that is demonic under the sun. And I'm not saying the Republicans are angels and peachy by any means. They don't have halos. I'm not saying that at all. But there's a clear difference between the right and the left. The left, they embrace everything that is evil and wicked. Those on the right, we're trying to do what is right. You can't make it up. Now, here's the video I was telling you about earlier between Senator Ted Cruz and Senator Spartacus. It's good.
And I will give my colleague from New Jersey a chance to just answer a simple yes/no question. Should the Biden Justice Department have enforced the criminal law against protesting at a justice's home? Yes or no?
So the answer is yes, he should have. And he's not going to say that because then it goes back to why didn't he? And we all know why Joe Biden's administration didn't, because they were okay with people showing up at the Supreme Court justice's home being attacked. There was one guy, I forgot where he was driving from, but they said he drove across the country, went to Brett Kavanaugh's home, had tie wraps, had other devices, and wanted to take and torture his Brett Kavanaugh and his family. You want to put him and tie him up. I mean, it was some of the stuff that he wanted to do to them was horrible. But I think that's the only person that they arrested. But the rest of them, which is against the law, none of them were arrested. And they said, and I remember, I never forget it. The press secretary was saying, well, we encourage peaceful protesting as long as they're doing it peacefully. Why were they saying this? Because they did not like the fact that the information came out of the Supreme Court. The information was leaked about them sending Roe versus Wade back to the states, which I don't understand why the Democrats would get so upset about that if the entire country, according to the Democrats, want abortion. If that's the case, why would they get upset? Because they said majority of the American people want this. then there's no problem. Then the majority of the people would vote for it. They know it's not true. Just like everything else, they lie.
So the rank hypocrisy, apologizing the next day, and you holding that standard for him and not for your president, who you actually rightfully described when you were running against him in a primary. I would love to run those tapes of how you perfectly talked about the danger of our president and his rhetoric. But now you are failing, in fact, blind to the very things you're accusing Chuck Schumer of. I don't think Donald Trump would know an apology if it hit him in the head.
Wow.
Never has said apologizing. So again, you are very, very, sir, very, very deep into the waters of hypocrisy in your criticisms of Chuck Schumer.
So let the record reflect that Spartacus did not answer the question and did not tell us whether the criminal law should be enforced, because he knows the answer is yes. And he knows that the Biden Department of Justice was being wildly political and partisan in refusing to enforce the law because they disagreed with the Supreme Court justices' rulings.
The Democrat Party is a party of lawlessness. They don't care about the law. They say they're going out to these judges to try to stop President Trump based on the law. They don't care about the law unless they can weaponize it against the American people. That's the only time they care about the law. Other than that, it means nothing to them. It means absolutely nothing to them. Hey, can we talk about this really quick, Shannon? I want to talk, nope, not this. I want to talk about this Jace case. Is it possible we can do that? Or never mind.
We'll do that
We'll
after.
We'll just do this. So we have the radical leftist lunatic liberals. And here's a mental, now look, let me make sure I'm clear about this, okay? Because they've hit me before where they suggested that I was trying to put out medical advice. I've never done that. I am not a doctor. This is a disclosure, okay? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm just sharing the information that is out there, okay? Is that clear? I hope the algorithms pick that up. I am not a doctor. I am not a physician. I'm just sharing the information. This says mental health ratings by political affiliation. And this is a very interesting poll that they put out there. Mental health rating. It says excellent and poor. And if you see on the right there in the middle, it says liberal, 20%. Excellent for liberals. 45% poor mental health. What does that mean? But conservatives says 51%. And I would go and say that the conservatives is probably more than that, right? I would say it's probably more than that because we're talking about common sense. And even the poor on the radical Democrats, it's probably around 65%. But then on the poor for the Republicans, 19%. Because, look, we're still talking about people regardless. We're still talking about people. Because some of those people, you got the 19% consists of Adam Kissinger, Lindsey Graham, then you got Liz Cheney. Get the 19% would consist of them. Joe Scarborough, he still considers himself a Republican, right? You still have that. But this is an interesting poll because the Democrats don't want people to know that they have mental issues.
With conservative political views, 51 to 45% when it comes to excellent versus poor. Yeah. And I don't think the Democrats would have expected that.
I don't know, man. I didn't need a poll to know they were unwell. Just drive around and see someone wearing a mask in their car. And you know who they're voting for, and you know they're not okay.
We don't need a poll to know that they're unwell. We don't. We know there's something wrong with these radical leftist lunatic liberals. We know something's wrong with them. Well, let me share this with you. The Jace case. The Jace case. Remember the shortage? 5 straight years of supply chain chaos. You remember Joe Biden when they were bringing stuff into the country and people were like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? The supply chains got stopped off the coast. Remember that? A lot of people don't remember that. Life-saving medication gone, insulin, antibiotics, even ivermectin. Remember all that? And with current issues like tariff, trade disputes, global instability, and then things aren't getting better. They're not getting great right now. We can see on the horizon is coming, but things aren't really just real booming just as of yet for everybody. You have the control. You need to take control for your safety and, of course, your health. I found a potential life-saving way, and I want to share it with you. Enter Dr. Sean Rowland. He saw a health system for what it is: bloating, broken, barrier tape. I mean, keeps going on and on. That's why he created Jace, a total game changer. What is Jace Case? I'm glad you asked. A supply of emergency use prescription antibiotics before you need them. For your family, yourself, for peace of mind. No more pharmacy panic. Come on, everybody. No more crisis, waiting in line. Act fast, right? Fast, adorable, and increasingly easy. Go to jace.com, JASE.com, jace.com, and answer a few questions. A licensed doctor will review your information. Medication shipped directly to your door. And there's a bonus. Use promo code WILL to get a discount. Go to jace.com, JASE.com, and use promo code WILL to get that wonderful discount. All right, everybody. And that is it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being here. See you tomorrow. God bless. Stay safe out there. Will Johnson reporting.